Hi, I'm Hans Peter Meyer, and I'm sitting in Sam Sommers' kitchen again, and we were just talking about what it's like to work in the Comox Valley or to see things happen at a community level.
This is one of my pet things that I love the Comox Valley, and one of the things I love about the Comox Valley is there's so much creativity here and so much generosity, and I have heard it said that it is fractured and it's hard to get anything done, and I get very confused when I hear that because that is not my experience.
You have never experienced that?
I have experienced that in sort of certain things, like, not getting any women's addictions beds and so on. But around all of that, I feel a great deal of support for the community, from the community on that issue. So sometimes we get mad because we can't make things happen, and we forget to take a look around and see how much support there is anyway for ideas. And for example, as I was saying to you, Hans, when I first moved into the Comox Valley, addiction.
24 years ago.
Yeah, 25 years ago, and addiction services were pretty fractured, and different aspects of it had different points of view, and somehow I think there was that perception that we should all agree on one point of view, and of course it should be whoever you are, it should be your point of view. Well, that makes lots of sense, that's normal to me, but how does that benefit clients? And I began to say, well, let's think of ourselves as a continuum, a bag full of addiction services, that any one of which our clients may need. So we're all in effect important. All of our points of view have value. And how do we best understand each other, know what we offer, and then work together for our clients? So that when we had a common purpose called For the People Who Need Addiction Services, I feel like those of us who work in that field can get through anything. And we have gotten through massive, hard things. It's very underfunded. Like I said, we can never seem to get addiction beds for women happening in the Comox Valley. We never give up.
Right.
We support. I can stand outside of what I would like in my place where I work in addictions to say, I think we need this over here more than I need something. So let's put it there. And that's what I see my colleagues do. And I've seen that in many, many different ways around the community.
Well, I can see that. Okay, you're talking about dawn to dusk, but I can...
Dawn to dawn.
Dawn to dawn, right? I can see that around the sustainability conversation, where there are, we could fracture ourselves incredibly just trying to define what sustainability means, and are there 8 pillars, are there 11 pillars, or how do we do this, how do we do that?
And what if we all stood back and said yes? What about just saying yes? All of that's true. What you think it is what it is. What I think it is, like that, it's just a big box full of ideas around sustainability, or a big box around addiction services, or a big box around whatever, housing or whatever. And I think that we get over caught up thinking there should be one answer, one point of view, when in fact the Comox Valley's strength is in our creativity, our diversity, and the generosity that I am just knocked over by constantly in this community. Dawn to Dawn is a great example. We have a board that's very diverse. There are so many different perspectives, so many different occupations.
So Dawn to Dawn is about addressing homelessness.
Yeah, it's a society
right?
that deals with homelessness, both health services and housing. And we have been the recipient of so much generosity from wide diverse parts of this community. So I think that when we as a community can embrace something as a good idea, whether it's trying to provide housing for homeless, or provide a welcoming community, and or provide a housing for everyone. What a concept! I think if we recognize that as who we are, there is no end of possibility. And when I have actually seen more people work together who don't maybe have exactly the same interests than I've ever seen fractured. I think what sometimes people consider fractured is not understanding that stages of change, where people need to have a process. I heard it once said, no, I won't say that, that's not. I think we do like, Comox Valley is a valley of talkers. We need to talk. I think most of us that live here have our brains on the end of our tongues, and that we actually need to talk in order to think. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a beautiful thing. Go to a restaurant and watch people. I've gone to a restaurant in some towns where people are eating and you can hear the cutlery. Not the case in the Comox Valley. Yak, 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 and people smiling and vibrant and alive. And I think if you want action and you want people to actually agree to something before they're finished talking about it and thinking about it, shame on you. Have respect. People need to talk, and we need to think, and we need to work things through. And it's frustrating if people want action on their really good idea right away, but they've forgotten how much time they've spent to get to that place of being ready. We need to wait for us as a group to get ready, and we will get ready. I've seen it over and over again. I don't get upset when somebody has a completely different theory of addiction than I have. It's like, wow, that's one more choice for our clients.
Right. And I'm going to pull this back to the sustainability thing
Okay.
all the time, because
Perfect.
I mean, there are parallels around that.
Heard this cat.
So we will have endless ideas about what sustainability is or how to reach it. And I agree with you that there's a lot of conversations happening here in this community, and that's part of what we're doing right now, is trying to stimulate that conversation and open it up, and in some ways, you know, my approach is that just trust that if we're talking about sustainability, we're preparing ourselves to make better choices about how we live, how we travel, how we house ourselves, how we raise our families, who we elect. All of those things are sustainability choices, and we need to talk about that. Yeah, definitely. So I encourage you, if you're having this kind of conversation about how things don't work in the Comox Valley, to maybe tape it and think about how stuff actually is working, because we need that evidence as well.
I think it's very difficult for us to give ourselves the energy we need and the courage we need to make change if we don't kind of see the positive end of things. And I think we need a few different structures to help us move to the positive. I guess you get to learn that when you work in the addictions field. That's one of the bonuses, that you learn to have patience and know how people change, so that you can wait for people to catch up. But I think when we think in a positive way and we can turn things around to say, well, but what are all the benefits to this way of thinking? Or I think we convey hope. We convey hope to ourselves, and we convey hope to the people around us, and an excitement. And that gives us the energy we need, because any change needs a lot of energy, and I think most of us feel like we're working ourselves to the bone, and where the heck are we going to find the energy? But it can be vibrant. It can give energy when we notice the positive. So don't we want to work in a community that's sustainable? Or, I mean, what's the flip? Let's work on having a non-sustainable community. Like, let's put our energy into how we would do that. You know, you feel differently when you're sort of framing things in a positive versus a less positive way. And I think that's where the strengths and the ideas can come out. I don't think we're very creative when we're being criticized. I don't think we're very creative when we're not being heard. And so how do we learn to hear each other and respect each other's points of view? I mean, I have to say that I've held so many opinions that I thought were just it. And I don't want to change. I don't want to think about it. But I know that it's important for me to listen, and not just open my ears, but really listen. And I've learned so many things by doing that. And I figure, now that I've learned so many things, I think, God, I don't know anything. but that's exciting in itself. There's just a lot more to learn by listening to each other. And who knows, as I've said to you, it's really important that we hear from everyone in our community, representatives of everyone, from neighborhoods and people that don't have housing, and people that work with those folks, and senior. We need to hear from people, because we don't know where the good ideas are going to come from. We just know that they will. I mean,
okay. And now on that note, I'm going to cut this off because we're almost out of time.
Okay.
So thanks a lot again for another conversation about what's happening in the Comox Valley.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Okay.